here for round 2. Hopefully Katie can join us this time. It kept telling me I couldn't add her to the call, so hopefully we can sort that out. Hope you're all well. We're going to be talking expectations this evening. Big subject. Let us know if you've got any thoughts on it, any wisdom, any guidance, any questions. Just pop them all in the comments and we will see what we come up with. So hopefully she'll see us live in a moment and try and join again. Don't know why I couldn't add her to the last one, but it's just how it is. Looking promising.
I'm here. Hello. Oh my goodness. Do you know when you look in the mirror and you're like, what have I done to myself? Good evening.
How are you?
I'm all right. What a day. Busy. Kids. Life. How are you?
Body up. I can't actually hear you.
Oh, okay.
My phone.
Is it you? Okay.
Here now.
How are you?
Yeah. All right. I'm a bit sore. I'm sitting in a funny angle in this chair and it's kind of going
Oh no.
backwards. It's just like a big belly and a head on top. So
You are very yellow as well. It's just like, this is the mustard corner.
yeah, I was wearing a yellow coat earlier, sat in this chair with this jumper and the chair. It was a bit much.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good with the navy. Yeah, I'm feeling it. It's good. It's good. So yeah.
Expectations. Oh, first, are you drinking a coffee or a cocoa?
I have it's called Tulsi. It's a holy basil tea, apparently. It's quite nice,
Yeah.
actually.
Oh, yeah, holy tea.
Yeah, that's about the only holy thing about me, Luke. What are you drinking?
Ginger.
Ginger. You haven't got much left. That's
And,
not going to last half an hour, is it?
I've been drinking it for the evening, so
Enjoy. Cheers.
yeah, it is.
Cheers. Gin.
All right. Expectations. Your idea followed swiftly by, I don't know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, I just, the word bubbled up. Maybe it was the universe saying Luke's got some things to talk about when it comes to expectations.
And I do.
No pressure. Okay. Oh, go on then. Go.
I think we set ourselves up for failure when we have expectations, particularly around people.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just, before I go any further, how does that make you feel?
Do you, so, okay, my first thought is I ask a question just to make sure I understand. Do you mean expectations of how other people will behave towards us? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. I think if we're talking people, expectations of their behaviour, not necessarily just towards us, behaviour in general.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
People should be a certain way.
Okay.
Should way or should do a certain thing. I just think they can set us up for disappointment all the time.
Go, tell me more. What's brought that to your consciousness today?
Well, it's just something that I've been pondering over the years, actually, and gosh, I've got a really good example, but I don't want to drop anybody in it.
Always a problem.
Yeah. Let's just say fictitious person A. Okay, I'm going to translate it into a generic example. And there's a parent-child relationship. And there is an expectation that communication is a big thing with most relationships. It's normally the thing that goes most wrong in relationships. So if there's an expectation that, you know, we should communicate on a weekly basis because that's what you do, that's how it should be, and then that doesn't happen, but there's no malice behind why it doesn't happen. It's just one person's expectation is different to another's.
Yeah.
I think it creates a lot of tension, unnecessary tension, a lot of friction and distance between people because one person's expectation is it should be weekly, one person's expectation is it should be monthly, as an example.
But that expectation is never properly communicated. Therefore, that's where the tension comes from.
Right, and I think if it was communicated, would it also cause further friction because there'd be no agreement on what the expectation is? You know, do you even need to have that? Or say, I think that we don't put enough effort into intention. I think the world is obsessed with execution. We must do things perfectly. We must do them in a way that appeases another person, that doesn't offend another person, that is the cultural or social norm. We must do things in all of these certain ways. And then if we get it wrong, people are very quick to say, oh, they got it wrong, they're a bad person, or they didn't do it right, or, like. But actually, can we look at intention? If there's no malice behind it, there's no negative intention behind it, life is busy. I have other priorities. But my intention when we do, an example of communication, my intention is when we do communicate that it's positive and it's good and it's because I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
See what I mean? But I don't think people put enough effort in intention. They put more focus on execution, having it in a way with an expectation attached.
Do you think that's because maybe, and we're all guilty of doing this, we're thinking about what we want and what we need rather than looking at something from somebody else's perspective and thinking, oh, well, they've had a busy week or whatever it might be, and so we're judging without really thinking. So we need to think more than think before we judge.
Yeah, I don't think we live in a world where we're taught that. I think through conditioning, we're taught to be very self-centered, and it can be a wonderful thing as well. I don't think it's a bad thing. To be self-centered means that you are self-preserving, that you are self-loving, and all of those things. I think it can be a really good thing. But on the other side of that, if you only think about your version of events or your expectations, then at no point are you saying, well, what's going on for them? Why would they behave that way? Why are my expectations and their expectations so different?
Yeah.
Right, and not a lot of thought goes into it. It's normally just quick to the judgment. But I think, again, we're taught to be that way. Even if you just look at media, tabloid, everything in a tabloid is a judgment, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, a bias. Yeah.
Yeah, and nobody then stops to think, well, I wonder what's going on for that actual person and what the story is behind that and whether it's actually real or not, or whether we're just being painted. People just judge, don't they? They just jump on the judgment bandwagon. So I think that we're engineered through society to be like that.
Disgust. I feel a disgust should come out after that statement.
Like I said a lot, you're just going, So,
no, okay, yeah, I'm waiting. Yeah, no, exactly. I'm waiting for my chance to chip in. Yeah, I think it's interesting. So what's bubbling up for me is I think you're right. I think what you're talking about, especially with like the press, is we're very obviously manipulated there to believe certain things and to be judgy and to have a judgment and to have a particular judgment that whatever publication wants us to have about a situation.
But not think about it. We're not being taught to.
Yes. We're not being taught critical thinking. Yeah, absolutely. Because that's really what it sort of boils down to. What you're saying is we should think actually about something before we actually come to an opinion on it. Yeah, I think that's valid, definitely. What also came up for me though is I see things from a different perspective as well, because I see an awful lot of these messages about how we should prioritize other people over our own needs. I think there's a real split between those two messages. For example, it was even I was laughing with a friend about this, it was even in the latest Mission Impossible movie. So there's a bit where Ethan, Tom Cruise's character, says, "I will always value your life above my own." It's just nonsense. Because if he did that in real life, if that was his job, he would be dead by now. So, we're sort of taught these self-sacrificing messages as well, which is always think about somebody else, always reach out and put them first. And surely the balance is somewhere in the middle, actually. Think about yourself, think about the other person, think generally, holistically, and then come to a conclusion. That's what I guess I would say, because I just see those other messages and they bother me sometimes, because I think maybe especially as women, I'm always looking at it with my own lens. I guess we're always under pressure, I feel, expectation maybe, to be aware of other people, to think about how somebody's feeling, to put them first. Those sort of self-sacrificing messages, I feel those quite a lot.
Judge gender in the media.
Well, I missed that first bit. What did you say? You broke up.
Who is the most judged gender in the media?
Oh, women, constantly. We can't do it right. We're either to this, to that, not enough this, not enough that. It's a distraction, though. I really think that's a distraction from the fact that we have got brains that we can use. So let's get them thinking about how they look and competing with each other for, I don't know, who had the best dress at whatever awards ceremony. Nobody really cares. It's not important.
It's all expectation. You're going to an award ceremony, you must have the best dress. That's the expectation.
Yeah. You can't decide actually it doesn't matter at all and I'm just going to ignore you all. Well, you can if you're Jennifer, what's her name? Hunger Games. What's her name?
Lauren?
Jennifer. I love her. She just doesn't care.
Yeah. Okay. Self-sacrificing messages program us to believe that we have no personal power.
Yes. Yeah. Very true. Yeah. Yes, we must always put other people's needs ahead of ours because we don't matter as much as they do.
Yeah. But then also don't be selfish about it.
Yeah.
If you didn't do it, you can't.
You can't win. Yeah. That's really so for you that's what came up around expectation, was around expectations around behaviours.
It was just an example, because it's just something that I face regularly in my
world.
I'm not to with it, but in my I face a regular particular battle around expectations, and people should do things in a certain way, and then a disagreement about what that should is.
Should isn't that such an interesting word?
You shouldn't should on yourself.
Yeah, don't should all over yourself. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Should. Maybe that's what we should have called this. Should have called this. Should.
But it's really another word for expectation.
It is. It was interesting because I was talking with James, my husband, before this about what am I going to talk about today, and what came up was the expectation that we feel when other people, maybe we sort of think that other people might be expecting us to do something or behave in a certain way, and how actually often that's our own expectation, in the sense of it might be that we feel we should do more to support a particular cause, or that we should do some work for someone, or we should help somebody out. Actually, is there genuinely an expectation there, or is it just us feeling like it's us feeling like we should do it? So can we drop it, or is it real? I was talking to him about work. So in the workplace, if you're salaried, you're paid and there's an expectation that you'll do certain stuff. But when it's your own life outside of that, where does that expectation come from, really? Because nobody has any authority over you in that way. So I was just thinking, it just my own random stream of consciousness was that it often comes from us, doesn't it? We feel we should. So the expectation is ours. So that means we can let it go if it's not something we want.
But it's conditioned, I believe. Even work, just to slightly go off on a tangent. Your expectation is you're being paid, so you should do work. But what about the other expectations of, well, you shouldn't leave at 5 o'clock, you should stay longer, you should put extra time in, you should do this for free, you shouldn't call in sick. This whole world of expectation that's all just other people's opinions.
It is, and but it's kind of perpetuated by everybody else maintaining it as well. So it's a cultural thing, isn't it? I remember writing about this years ago. They called it the culture of presenteeism. Being the first one to leave work at 5:30. Nobody wants to be that person because they look. Oh, were you? Good. You stood up for yourself. But you know what I mean, though. It's difficult to be that person if you're in an environment where it's kind of expected, again, that you'll stick around for free when you're tired,
Or you have a life.
who has a life, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, there's this ownership of you, isn't there, that leads you to behave in that way. But you can buck against it. I think it does take guts if you're a bit institutionalized in that way.
The irony is, as a HR department, I should be the one standing up for people. Well, I always was the one standing up for work-life balance and
Yeah.
everything. But then within the HR department, it was very frowned upon if you were to leave on
Oh,
time.
really?
Yeah, and I was like, well, we're not practicing what we preach.
No, of course not.
People don't think.
But that is where the culture of a business comes from, isn't it? It comes from the top and it's sort of filtered out through the HR department. Discuss. So yeah.
HR. Like HR manager. Oh, grim. There's no humanity in it.
It's not. Yeah. Well, the fact it's human resources as well. It just sounds a bit too bodily for my liking. It's a bit too much. Too many arms and legs.
Too personal.
Yeah.
Remember when it personnel to HR?
Yeah.
I believe it's going through another transition of naming now. Some other companies call it another fancy name now. I can't remember.
Okay. Yeah.
Whatever. It's a policy guarding department.
This is true. That works on behalf of the business.
It's just the rules department.
The rules department. Yes, it is. Head of rules.
Yeah.
Head of arbitrary rules.
A health and safety guy at one place I worked in used to call us human remains.
That's very true.
The whole, in my view, and I've been out of it for a while now, of course, but there's no humanity. When I was there, when I left, there was no humanity in it. But I know things are changing. I know that even since I left, now it's kind of becoming the norm in most larger companies to have equality, diversity, and inclusion managers and things like that, which never really existed when I did it. So it must be changing. Must be people pushing back against it. There has to be.
I hope so, and I hope it's not people paying lip service to ideas as well. We've got to have a head of, inclusion. We've got to have a policy. But the cynic in me thinks, well, maybe that's it. Got to be seen. Our
So
CSR and all that.
I'm going to maybe put my foot in it a little bit here, but there's one particular place that I worked and they really destroyed me. They were a horrendous company. They created a inclusion, diversity inclusion role, and they put in the one person in the HR department that was renowned for being really racist, and they made the head of that department.
Oh gosh, how does this happen? That's not going to end well, is it? Unless they're hoping to, I don't know, have an effect on this person.
From what I've heard, actually, she's taken a step up in terms of educating herself and expanding her mind, which is great.
Okay.
I thought that, but just an interesting choice from the outset.
Yeah.
We've got this role. Who are we going to put it? Oh, I know. Let's pick the racist one.
Well, logic was never part of the job description, surely.
No.
Yeah.
That was just a little interesting fact there from my life.
Yeah.
Right. Else. So there is a gap between expectations and reality into which frustration, disappointment, and judgment creep in.
This is true. However, that's very interesting. But then it comes back, I think, to communication, surely. Because if everyone knows where they stand, then we can't legitimately get frustrated about something. If you've talked about it and oh, I know, Luke, he's always busy, that's why he doesn't answer his messages, for example, or whatever it might be. If you've communicated that, then there can't be resentment. It's when you don't know, when there's no communication. Discuss.
Yes, I think that's absolutely right, and I think that's again, going back to our conditioning, we taught good communication skills. I don't remember taught that at school.
Or in the family. Gosh, no, I was talking about that conversation I will not go into on social media, but my family's communication skills were not good. And actually I was brought up personally in an environment where mind reading that's how things were done. It was expected. You read each other's minds, and if you didn't read each other's minds properly, well, ooh, you know, it's going to be trouble here. So yeah, so I mean, at home certainly I wasn't taught it. At school, no, we were taught to speak up as well, because that's also what it is. It's about speaking up for yourself and what you would like for yourself and your life. So it's having that self-worth and confidence to say, well, you know what, I value our friendship or whatever it might be. Here's how I feel, and I would like it if it was like this. That's self-worth.
I'm sure it was changed since we were there, but
Mm.
certainly I believe that the kind of the time frames that we went to school is pretty much a dictatorship.
Mm.
Did what you were told, or you got attention. That was
Yeah.
it. There was no standing up for yourself or having an opinion.
No. No, if I remember the one time I had an opinion about something, that was not particularly welcome. I was saying to a friend of mine the other day, I wore something that was against the school rules, and I got hauled over the coals. I wore a denim jacket to school. Get me? But the rules, you see, said no denim jackets with pop or fashion badges may be worn, and mine was plain. So I thought, well, that's fine. But then the headmistress came up to me and went, "Take that off." You know, so there was no room for personal expression.
Or,
I can't even wear a jacket.
or
Hey,
using your brain.
or using your brain. Exactly. It wasn't. You know.
Correct.
Yeah. Just learn things and go home, basically. And then it translates into the workplace and to do things and go. Well, maybe do things but don't go home.
Good sleep. You don't need to do that.
Sleep is for
Yeah.
wimps. That's not true, by the way.
I also think men, particularly, are not taught to communicate. You're taught to be bullshitty or to be loud or to, you know, stamp your feet, but you're not taught to communicate. You're not taught to have feelings um, or to look at other people's feelings or thoughts or, you know, have two-way conversations. You're not taught any of that. I certainly wasn't.
True.
Masculinity comes from, right?
Well, yes.
You
Do
can
you think that?
bullshit.
Yeah.
That do.
Do you think that is okay? We're possibly stepping into delicate territory, but do you think there is a difference in communication styles between genders, very loosely speaking, and that for a lot of, say, women, we tend to be a lot more intuitive and we do read people and we do try and look behind things and under things and question things and then for in my experience of some men, it tends to be different, a lot more transactional, a lot more factual, a lot less emotional. How do you feel about that? I feel like I can't make too many comments, but that's just been an observation.
What we're doing, we're having conversation, right?
No, I know, I'm just worried I'm going to upset someone.
Hi.
Always.
Spectator.
Always. Yeah. Yeah.
I think through societal conditioning of heteronormative people, yes.
You're doing it now.
But there are people who don't fit the mold, that question, that challenge. There are people, always be exceptions to the rules, but there'll be people that are just differently raised or nurtured from a very holistic perspective that then won't have learned that stuff through school necessarily, but will have learned it in other ways. We all obviously have completely different upbringings, but I just think culturally, societally, particularly from our generation and before, possibly not so much now with the younger generations, I do think that, you know, men behave like this and women behave like this. And we were probably the tail end of that mindset, I would say. And I think it's changed a lot since our generation.
I think you might be right. Well, also, me personally, I was brought up by a 1950s mom and dad, twirling around the kitchen, wife twirling around the kitchen, husband goes out to work. You know, it's all very, very traditional. That's how close it was. Somebody put another comment, Luke, on your post.
Totally agree, Luke. I find that with so many of my male clients. However, I'm also mindful that women are usually see more, can't read the rest, hang on, are usually the primary caregivers and way of being. I want to be chatting in this conversation too.
We'll have to carry this conversation offline and have a cup of tea with Ray.
I mean, we could do a conversation with the three of us at some point. That would be fun.
We could. I don't know if my phone would fit all three of us on the screen.
Get together and do it.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Yeah. physically. That is also a possibility. It's been a long day. My
We
brain's
normally
dead.
do daytime, evening.
We do. And I normally have coffee in me when we're doing this, and so I'm like, oh, ping, ideas.
Yeah. But yeah, so I do think that things are changing. I certainly recognise that if I look at my children's schooling, things have changed. You know, they're much more. I mean, we just went to a meeting at the school this week about I can't remember the title of it. It was something in sex education, but it was just about for the level that they're at, about understanding their feelings and understanding their bodies and understanding people and different family types and judgments and things like that. And we never would have got any of that.
God, no. God, no. I mean, I was chatting with some friends about the sex education video that we remember watching. It was very amusing. It was on a beach. There was a naked man. We won't say any more. That's as far as it went. That was like, there we go. There you go, children. That's all you need to know. Nobody needs communication skills or soft skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talk and just don't mention it again.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. No, it was. I think you're absolutely right. I noticed when I went around my children's school how confident they all are. I was seeing all these children put their hand up and answer things confidently, and they're invited to share in a way that I don't feel we ever were invited to have an opinion. It's encouraged.
It was more dictatorship, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just going to rewind on hilarious expectations based on sex education.
Go on then.
We had in I can't remember it. It was something. No, I think they're in a house in our one, but a similar scenario. But I remember the guy having like a huge doner, like it was massive, and I was thinking, expectation.
Was that the moment you realised how your life was going to go? Yeah, it's not very helpful, is it? It's not very helpful. My mum, maybe we should have a whole conversation about this topic. My mum gave me a book to read. That was the sum total of my sex education. The book was called How Babies Are Born, and it was printed in the 40s. Wow. And I've still got, it's ridiculous. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. And we never had a conversation. The end. So what hope did I have? None at all.
I was passed a book as well.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember. It might have been the same one. It was the book at the time. It was the only one that existed, I think.
Okay. Oh, so did mine, says Ray. I'm sorry, Ray. We've managed to survive modern life in spite of that. I have kids. Obviously, I figured something out. But it's just depressing. I would never do that to my kids. Oh, the resentment I still carry. I probably need you, Ray, to have that cancelled out of me.
But again, all expectations. That was what we were taught. We have these expectations. We go into the real world and we go, it's not like that.
No, it's not like that. No. No, God. Yeah, well, as long as we promise not to do that to our children and actually to have open, honest conversations, I think they'll be all right, won't they?
I'm super curious, and of course it'll unfold in time to see what the issues our children's generation have when they're our age. Like, what are the things that they're looking back at?
Or their hang-ups and their resentments. Yeah.
Probably media-based. I don't know.
Social media based. Oh yeah, all these stories. I can already see all these stories Mum's told about us on social media. I wish she hadn't.
Oh, it'd be about us, yeah. I think one of the big hang-ups will be, why are there photos evidence of everything in my childhood? I don't want.
Why have I got a photo of every meal that my mum had? Every restaurant she went to. Yeah. God, yeah, the amount of data is going to be the thing. They're just going to have so much. I've got barely anything of my parents when you compare.
And I wonder, because of that, if their memories will be greater, more expansive, because often you don't remember something unless you see it in a picture. And look back at the 10 pictures of our childhoods. and the picture of me as a child that my parents had blown up and put in a poster format in our house, and it was just me sat in a cardboard box eating a sandwich. Actually,
that was the one they chose. That one.
I don't remember that moment, but I remember it because of the photo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just wonder they're going to have so much information that they're going to remember everything, and that's going to be terrifying.
That is terrifying. Well, it's like was it Minority Report, the film with, again, Tom Cruise seems to have come up twice tonight, where he's reliving his memories because you can download them or something. Was
I've
that
watched it, so I can't remember.
Yeah.
That's a 5-year-old film, isn't it? No.
It's old now. God, yeah, it's old. But yeah, I mean, do you want that? Do you really want to live your life like that?
I don't know, but I'm still going to take all those pictures regardless.
Yeah, same.
Ray says, again, also had a film at school where the couple ran into the sea and came out pregnant. Who knew swimming could be that dangerous?
Oh my goodness. There we go. So
that's how it's done.
That's priceless. That's
created.
That is wonderful. That's like a bad movie. Is that Splash or something? I don't know. Oh my goodness.
I think we went a bit off topic there, but that was quite good.
We always do.
So yeah, so I think expectations are ruining the world at the end.
There we go. I think expectations aren't actually there, and we should let go of them. The end.
That's a good.
There we go.
Yeah, you're right. They don't really exist.
No. When you realise how much power you have, you're right, Ray, when you say that is actually letting go of our power. When we realise that we can just say, well, actually, I'm not going to do that thing you expect me to. It's going to happen then.
They're not things.
They're not what, sorry?
Expectations aren't tangible things.
No, they're just an idea in the ether. We can just let it go.
You change an idea.
Yeah, you can. Magic.
Interesting.
Okay.
Now, I'm kind of like panning my life now, thinking, what expectations am I living that I don't really need to be?
Ooh, there's a whole other conversation for another day.
I went there and I'm like, oh, it's probably quite a few. Although I'm quite cutthroat, you know me.
Cutthroat? Is that the word you would use to describe yourself?
When it comes to stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Ow.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Okay. I would say unconventional, but yeah.
But then I didn't have the good girl kind of thing that I know that you've talked about for yourself.
Loads of that. And that again is expectation. That is the weight of that expectation. Feeling like I should be performing or listening or helping or doing something that's not about me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
What were your first words?
Good girl. 2. So 2 words. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And good girl. How many times must my parents have said that to me for it to be the first thing that I said? Yeah. Quite terrifying, isn't it? Whereas, do you want to know my daughter's first words that we remember it being anyway? Pub.
Good girl for your life. Uh-oh.
There we go. And now that is immortalised on video, and now she's going to hate me forever. So there we go. That's what she will be doing in 10 years' time, moaning about the fact I told everybody that.
Is he going to see Ray saying, my mum said these things on me about social media?
They're just true. What can I say?
Funny. Yeah, actually, that's another kind of difference between men and women. I think, although I did get good boy a lot, I don't think it has the impact on men that it does on women.
Okay. What makes you say you don't think it has the impact?
Because I just think the world is geared up more towards men doing what they want, women doing what they're told. Patriarchy. Again, from our generation. Again, I think the younger generations are going to change that.
Yeah, well, yes, I hope so. Well, because we're questioning things more. There's more information for a start, so we can see other ways of living that aren't the same, or people doing things in a different way. So that instantly transforms your options because you see, oh, they're doing it in a different way. And then more questioning, if you're bringing your children up to question things more, yeah, the signs are good.
More conversations like this that they might stroll across. Exactly,
about how it doesn't have to be one way. Yeah.
There's just generally more conversations in the world, and I do think, I mean, this is one of the blessings of the internet, that we literally have connected the entire world.
Yeah. Yes, you always, blessing and a curse. There's just so much of it. You can't possibly consume all of it. But yeah, I mean, it's changed my life, the internet. Absolutely better. Hey?
have the world in our hands, like
That's
the
a song.
world literally in our phone.
It is. It's terrifying. I mean, it's also terrifying how actually addictive that is. You've got all the world's knowledge in the palms of your hand, of your hands. How
You could ask, why do we go to school? We can just Google it.
you could ask that. So why do we go to school then, Luke?
No topic for another one.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is the point of school? Oh, there's many points of school. I am pleased my children go to a school. If nothing else, for social connection.
Yeah, so that's really the main benefit from our perspective as parents.
Yeah. Well, and also we can work then, can't we? Because how can we do? We can't
The
do it
obvious
all.
childcare benefits, yeah.
Yeah. You're like, but no, true. They've got new influences, different influences. Yeah, you have to be mindful of what they're being taught, but
My expectation thought.
yeah. Well, this is true. That's a cynical way of looking at things.
I mean, I'm kind of blessed with our 6-year-old, and then she's a bit nuts and she's a bit unconventional, but she doesn't follow rules, so I don't think expectations are going to be a problem for her.
Well, good. That's going to stand her a good stead. Questioning things, not necessarily always doing what you're told. It's hard to deal with as a parent, but in the real world, that's what we need, isn't it?
We often say that it's going to serve her really well when she's an adult, but as a parent,
Yeah, absolutely. How do you parent that? How do you keep that little Tasmanian devil safe? How do you do it? I don't know. Yeah, no.
tough. But the most important goal is to turn them into decent human beings, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. Get them to think for themselves. That's one of my number one priorities. Get them to think about things for themselves. Actually, question. Be curious. Curiosity is the key to everything. I think curiosity is the way to survive a crazy world. If you're not curious about stuff, you'll never ask questions. You'll never look at things differently. You'll just do what you're told.
You know what I learned about curiosity as a child?
What?
Curiosity kills the cat.
Yeah, that was bandied around a lot, wasn't it, when we were
A
kids?
lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Never thought about that.
But we need it. We need it. We have to be able to question the messages that we are constantly fed. Whatever you believe, even if you look at things like marketing, advertising, companies are trying to sell you stuff. They want your money, so you have to be very aware of what they're going to do in order to get it, which means questioning.
90s were a proper boom in terms of marketing, though, weren't they? They were the marketing era.
Yeah.
That's when we were raised, and that is really where nothing was questioned. I don't think we started questioning until the last 5 years, probably just around the time.
Okay, you think so? Okay, with advertising and marketing and stuff.
Proper boom. Well, really, 70s through to 90s. That was the marketing era. That was also the processed foods era.
Well, before that, actually. So, you look at certain brands of cereal, for example, they were targeted at working mums with the message that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, which is a marketing message created by a cereal company. It's not actually a fact, it's simply marketing. And so, because we had nothing to compare it to, we believed it. We trusted people.
Since the TV, do you reckon, became a thing, a household item?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's this classic thing of before social media, if it's on the TV, it must be true.
Yeah, I suppose so. I don't know. I'm trying to think when I started to question things. I think for me, it's difficult to identify when I started to question stuff because I worked in marketing 20 years ago and I understood the mechanics of it. And I was a manipulator. I did it. I got paid to do it, paid to write words that sold things. So I started to see through it from the very beginning.
But most people don't ever know it or strive to learn it.
No, but we can change that by talking about it, by raising awareness.
But I do think social media is doing that, and I think since the pandemic, people are questioning more and more stuff, rightly or wrongly. And we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. No. I do think people are questioning more stuff now than they ever have done in the past.
I would like to think so. I don't really know, to be honest. I'm going to start paying more attention now to see if that is panning out. Certainly, you know, it's interesting, isn't it? Because your own social media feed gets filled with, it's like an echo chamber. It gets filled with things you like. So I get all of these people, the Noam Chomskys of the world, who are questioning stuff coming into my social media feed. So that is what I see, and in conversations with people like you. And so is that widely applicable? I don't know. It needs to be. We need to question more. It's a survival skill.
But curious cat, so we weren't taught it. So we're having to learn it as grown-ups.
I don't know though. I've always been terminally curious. I want to know about
Love
everything.
that.
So
Curious. I feel like you should need a name badge that says that. Like Katie, curious.
terminally curious, insatiably curious, asks irritating questions. Yeah, that's me.
You're a proper Hermione, aren't
Do
you?
you think? Wingardium Leviosa. I don't know. I am a geek. Yeah, self-confessed geek. I'm proud. Geek and proud.
I was at school. I'm less so now.
Do you think
I
you're a bit more chilled out these days? A bit less.
no chilled out would be the word I would use.
Okay.
Just a little more feral, maybe.
Feral. Feral. Wild.
Don't do rules.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I do, but I have to question them first, and then if I agree with them, I do. If I don't, I don't.
But that means they're not rules anymore. They're things you're agreeing to do because you want to, which that's not the point of a rule.
A rule is, and we just to round it off.
Yeah.
Expectation.
A rule is an expectation. Very true. It is.
No.
Yeah, but my point is you can't call it a rule if you then choose to do it or not. It's not a rule anymore.
As a HR person for 13 years, rules life.
Oh, but that's so dull. Sorry.
I'm feral now.
Feral. I love that. I would just never have thought of you as feral. Quietly feral.
Quietly feral. There we go.
Yeah.
But Katie, terminally curious, and Luke, quietly feral.
There we go. That's it. Who needs like these personality tests? We've done it.
So we've done it, yeah. Well, we don't need that. It's just us.
No. Although I did do mine this week.
Really?
Mine, yeah.
I did any week.
You did what this week?
Enneagram.
Oh, okay.
Basically, just a new version of Myers-Briggs.
And what do you come out as on that?
At 8. I was, yeah. Basically, at 8, it's a feral leader.
Quietly feral leader. There we go.
But it was more complex than that. I was actually relatively evenly spread. So okay. I was marginally in that category. But I don't know if I loved it. I have a bit of an issue with these personality profiling tools because they're based on how much self-awareness you have, and most people don't have any.
It's really true. Oh, that's a scathing and very valuable point.
I saw an article a while back about Myers-Briggs and the foundations of where it came from, and fundamentally it was totally flawed right from the offset. It was something that was created within a family environment to assess somebody's daughter and her boyfriend. It was really stupid backstory, and it's absolutely flawed from what I read. I don't know if the article was real, but
critical again.
However, I've always had taken an issue with some of these things because they're all based on how you answer questions, and if you don't have self-awareness, or if you want to pretend that you want to answer it like you want to be rather than who you actually are, or it's so, and you might have a good day or a bad day. And this is why I love human design, because it's based on your birth time, so you have no choice over it.
Yeah. Just enjoy it. Hang on though. Those are rules. Are they not?
It's like a cosmic rule that you're born at a certain time. You can't change that. That's not something that you do. It's just something that's happened.
Okay.
Fact.
Okay. I won't be able to deconstruct this this rule thing then.
Yeah.
Fine.
Reflect on that one and come back with an answer next week.
Okay.
Anyway,
I think so, and thank you for you. I felt you chivying me on this evening. I can tell that my brain is like it's just not firing. So thank you very much for going. Go on, Katie. Go on. Just keep talking. Thank you.
Always nice to talk.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me. Let's do it again.
Yeah. Let's do it again next week.
Yes. Let's do it. Have a nice evening, everybody.
Good night.